All right, everyone. Thank you so much to anyone that gets in and jumps on live with us today. If you do join us at any point in time, if not, the replay is available. So I will be sending that through to anyone that has requested it or does requested it. But to just get started, I would like to introduce our lovely guest speaker, Rose Davidson. She is here to talk to us about the power behind the Impactful Voice Project. Oh, I have messages jumping up. Of course I do. Of course I do. We were just talking about this, like things popping up, weren't we? So Rose is an award-winning podcast creator, and she's going to share with us the story behind the Impactful Project, which is a movement about helping people turn their lived experiences into stories that inspire change. So I'm really grateful that Rose is taking her precious time away from her Friday to come and join us, and we're going to jump straight in. So welcome, Rose. Thank you so much for being here today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, Helen. It was quite unexpected, and I think that what I have to share today will resonate with a lot of people when they don't understand that their story could be impactful to someone else, and perhaps maybe even save a life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about that, weren't we? With it doesn't really matter, your level of success, where you are at life, where you are in your business. Everyone has a story to share that they've overcome something that can inspire someone else that's, in the middle of it as well. So I think what you're doing is super, super important. So I'm really grateful for you to be here and share about it. So I'm going to give you the floor for a moment, just so you can explain to our beautiful listeners what exactly is the Impactful Voice Project and how does it work?
Well, I started off podcasting 5 years ago, and the reason I did that is because I like to help people. And I started during the COVID lockdowns, just after the lockdowns. I wanted to give business owners a voice. A lot of bricks and mortar businesses were closing because they didn't think that they had an opportunity to take their business online. So I gathered some of my Facebook acquaintances together, mapped out a calendar, and interviewed them to help these businesses stay afloat, because that was a really trying time for many of us, even for me. So every story, it does start in silence, and mine did too. And through the podcasting, I learned to help others share their voice. But I got to the point where interviewing business owners wasn't enough, and I could see a lot of other avenues for me to help others use their voice to make an impact in the world. Someone has a story, could be a business story or a personal story or a life-changing story. As long as it, helps somebody, how you overcame the struggles and challenges that you did could very well help someone else in their challenges and their struggles, to say, well, yeah, their story similar to mine, I can relate to what they're saying, and maybe I might just try that and see if I can improve my life. So I realised that, life experience isn't something that we recover from, it's something that we grow through.
Yeah, I love that.
So I guess for me, a moment that I saw was, I'm a survivor of childhood abuse. And so through my life, and I'm 65 now, I still get triggered by events. Like, we have a child next door that is a very angry child, and every time he comes over and starts yelling, I get triggered, and I just feel really anxious. And so I think that through that, and through the Impactful Voice Project, I can share my story, and might help somebody else who has had a traumatic childhood or a traumatic life in some way, to be able to relate to what I've been through and how I overcame my challenges. And there's always a ripple effect, that one story will help another person feel seen and heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important, especially that message that you're trying to share there, because what you have experienced and how it affects you by sharing how you've overcome that and your experience with especially parents, they can learn to show up better for themselves, which means they show up better for their kids and they are able to support their kids better. And like you said, that creates a ripple effect on their life, on their kids' life, and potentially every single other person that they impact. So, you know, having those stories to share, like we said, whether it is this massive transformation in business or it's a shift in the way that you live or the way that you think, or, you know, overcoming those situations where you've experienced something and it has brought those triggers up in your life, but you're learning to overcome that. Like every single step of the way, it inspires someone somewhere. And I love that.
Absolutely. And, you know, the purpose is to turn lived experience into education, advocacy, and, you know, collaboration. It's not about having the perfect story. It's about giving yourself permission to share and to speak your truth. And, you know, there's a process where you fill out a form, you share your story, you know, collaborations can happen, educational resources can be shared, and there are opportunities for, you know, for us to become a community where, you know, one story shared can maybe build on and be shared in another way. So, you know, they're all on a website. So someone shares a story, it goes into, you know, someone's social feed or you know, newsletter or whatever. It resonates, and then we build a whole community out of that. And that's the hope of IVP, is that we, you know, build a community where we can all share our life stories and build partnerships and build collaboration.
Yeah, I love that. And so tell me a little bit more about yourself. So how long have you been working in the online space, helping to, you know, help businesses and help people to share their story? You've got a lot of experience.
Well, back in, I don't know, I've always been very heart-centered all through my life. You know, through all my trauma, all my challenges, I've always had this ability to empathize with others. And, you know, if I see something that's hurt, a child, an animal, I have to stop and help it. I can't help myself. So I've been helping people all my life. I took a redundancy package from my government job back in 1996, and from there I moved to Queensland and opened a fish and chip shop and was there for 10 years, and then we moved around a little bit more. And then I ended up in Adelaide and worked for the electricity company there in their training organisation. And I met a lady there, and she got me on board the Healing Through Love project. It was a project that we're helping domestic and family violence survivors by having pamper days for them. So we held our first one in 2018, and it's been going since then. We now have a podcast where we help DV survivors through storytelling, through other people's experiences, and giving them, you know, ways that they can maybe find a more meaningful life after trauma and after, you know, being a survivor.
Yeah.
And so through Healing Through Love, and then, you know, I explained about how talking with the experts came to be. And now, since the podcast, you know, I want to start this IVP, in the Impactful Voice Project, and I want to help others share the things that mean the most to them. So, you know, there are the emotional, there's practical benefits to owning your story. You know, you'll find confidence, you'll find clarity, you'll also find credibility, because when one voice speaks with courage, others will find theirs. And I think that by being open and honest and transparent, you know, we can all benefit from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like I was saying before, it's one thing for one person to share their story and say, this is my experience, this is what I did to overcome it. But when other people start speaking up and sharing their similar stories, then someone else out there sees it, and they're like, it's not just that one person that somehow magically made it happen, but other people have experienced it and they're sharing their stories and they've overcome it. So there's hope for me. It's about giving that hope and inspiration to people that maybe don't have it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you know, I've always believed that if I can help just one person in my lifetime, I've done my job.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, Rose, we do have a lot of incredible people in this group and in the audience that's going to be listening to this recording. And I know for sure that some of the amazing ladies that I've already spoken with and interacted with, they've all got incredible stories. And like we were saying, everybody has one. So without fail, every single person who's listening to this right now has some sort of story in some aspect of their life to share. So why don't you share a little bit with them about how they can get in touch with you, how they can contact you, and what they would need to do to share their story on this platform for other people to see and be inspired by.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for this. Yeah, you can find me at rosedavidson.com.au. There's tabs. The Impactful Voice Project has a tab by itself, and you can find some stories that people have already written. There's Susie Dent on there at the moment. There's Larissa Vaculina, and there's Toby Gorniak, who is an MBE in the UK, who received his award for his work with children and bringing kids together that were disassociated from life. And so he's done an incredible job. So you just click on the tab of the Impactful Voice Project up the top there. This process really is easy. You just fill out a form. You can either do it by written, video, or audio. You get a page dedicated to yourself. So you get a post page all nicely set out for you. After I've read your story and have accepted it, because there are some stories that may be a little bit too graphic, and so we don't want anything overly graphic. So I don't use AI except to maybe work out if punctuation and things are correct, but I don't change anything. I don't change any words. I don't change any images that you shared with me. Everything is just very transparent. So just fill out the form. You'll get a lovely email with next steps. And yeah, you can find me also on LinkedIn on the Impactful Voice Project, or on Rose Davidson and LinkedIn as well.
Wonderful. And do you have any suggestions? Is there any sort of guides available? Like, I know everyone has a story to tell, but not everybody has the skills or the confidence to put it into words. Some people, they're natural at talking and telling stories and writing, whereas others, they're like, I'm not much of a writer, I'm not very good at spelling. And obviously, if you're not much of a writer, like you said, there's an option to do a video of yourself. Maybe you're not comfortable on video, or you just don't know how to put your story into words. Do you have some sort of recommendation or a guide for people that they can follow to help them express their story?
Absolutely. Under the resources tab, you'll find a document in there, it's a PDF, and it'll tell you how to lay out your story and how to give you confidence to be able to do that. The first step is always the hardest, but once you start writing, it does become easier. Just write your story and don't worry about correcting it until you've got to the final sentence, and then go through it and change punctuation, change paragraphs, change whatever you need to do. But yeah, there is a guideline, a guide to help you through that process in the resources tab. So take an opportunity to go and review that, and it will help you find your legs.
Excellent. And another question, just for those people that maybe aren't sure what their story is. Like I said, everyone has a story in them. Some people don't see that. I see it a lot with women that I work with who want to start a business. And they say, I know I want to start a business. I don't know what to do though. And I say, okay, well, what do you love? What are you good at? And they've become so disconnected with themselves that they can't pinpoint their skills or their interests anymore. And I feel that if there's someone out there, they have a story to tell, but they're just not sure what it is, are you able to maybe give some examples of some, things that you yourself have overcome, people that you've met have overcome, other people who have already shared their stories, topics and I guess challenges that that everyday people may or may not have faced that they could share about to inspire others?
Well, the stories that are on there really are about adversity and how they've overcome that challenge through, meeting up with others, through just their own actions. But it doesn't have to be a story about tragedy. It doesn't have to be a story about, something bad that's happened. Happy stories are great too, because, something may have happened to you, as a child, as an adult, that had a happy outcome. It doesn't have to start with tragedy or adversity, any of those things. Any story is welcome. It doesn't really matter. And I'll go through it, and you can reach me if you're unsure. Just reach out to me at hello@rosedavidson.com.au. Say what you're a bit challenged with, and I'll help you through the process. There's no fee to any of this. It's all totally free. So yeah, I don't want to make it a paid platform, because I don't think that that's the right way to go about doing stuff. Later on, I may build a community, or I'm looking at going and doing speaking engagements, which will, help pay for the project.
Excellent. I love that. And I love how there's so much support and information available. Like, you've really thought of everything to help people share their stories as easily and as comfortably as possible. So I do love that. And I am a bit mindful of the time. I do like to keep our chats pretty well around the half an hour mark, because everyone's busy. And yes, short and sweet, impactful, but short and sweet. But before we do wrap up, is there anything else that you would just love to share about this project, about the work that you're doing, something to inspire the people out there? What would you like to just share to wrap up our chat today?
I'd like to say that your story matters. Your voice has impact, and someone somewhere is waiting to hear it. Don't be frightened of the, if you can't write a story, you don't know how. I'm here to help you every single step of the way. So please just put pen to paper, put fingers to keyboards, put voice to video or audio, and just share what's in your heart, and just put it out there, because you just never know that your story, that one single moment, might just change someone's life. It might even save someone's life. So please don't be shy. Just get it out there.
That's really beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'd just like to say that I can really tell through talking with you, before we started recording, we were having a chat back and forth, and just throughout the whole session, that you really feel what you're doing. You're really passionate about it. And, I think it's so important, not only what you're doing, but that you are passionate about it, because, sharing your story, even if it just changes one person's life, is 100% worth it. And the world needs a lot more sharing, caring, community support and acceptance right now. So thank you again so much for doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for being here. I will touch base with you so I can get all of your links. And for everyone that's watching the replay, I'm going to share all of the links for Rose, where you can contact her, how you can contact her, the works, and please share her work, share her stories on her website. Even if you don't feel comfortable sharing your own story, please share what she's doing, because it is so important. And I'm 100% on board with it, behind it. And yeah, once again, so grateful for having you here. So I will be in touch with you. I will be in touch with everybody else, and I will be organizing another one of these amazing chats very, very soon. So thank you so much for being here. Take care. Love you all.
Thanks, Helen.